All right. How is everybody today? Thank you very much for watching. I'm very happy to have everybody here today. Thank you for watching. Very happy to have you here today. I wanted to talk about or clarify butter. Clarified butter. You get it? Clarify the butter. Yeah, one of my jokes that never work out. So, anyways, clarifying butter is something that I was talking about yesterday with the stock. Making stock. And you put butter, vegetable oil. What do you put in there? You know, that clarified butter. It burns. It's got a higher smoke point. You can put it in the frying pan to make certain things. I don't know, maybe there's salmon. Um, I'll tell you how to make it. Okay, so it's important to know how to make it. Clarified butter, it will keep for weeks in an airtight container in the fridge. Okay, um, so it lasts a very long time. Um, it's a great thing to use. All right, a lot of the time you can just use it. Um, 1 pound of butter makes about 3/4 cup. You're going to take your pound of butter, salted butter, unsalted butter, unsalted butter, salted butter. Oh, does it matter? Salted butter, salted butter. I mean, I don't know if it matters. If you're working with unsalted butter, you're just going to add salt to your food. If you're working salted butter, then there's already salt in the butter. So you won't have to add so much salt to your food. Viewer's discretion. So, mixed solids and water removed. That is clarified butter. Um, you're going to put it in a saucepan on a stove, and you're going to melt it. And it's on high, I guess. It's on high. And you're going to get a whole bunch of foam at the top. You're going to take your spoon. You're going to spoon off that foam that's on the top. The milk solids are going to go to the bottom, and the clear stuff, the clarified butter, will be in the middle. Okay, and the foam stuff at the top is very tasty, but most of the time you don't really use it. But it is very tasty. You could probably use it for something, if you come up with something. You might want to look it up, see what you can use it for. But that's typically clarified butter. It's not much to it. I just finished explaining it on Meta. So this is I finished a Meta video a few minutes ago, and now I'm doing a YouTube video. The same thing. I'm going to cook shrimp up later, so I'm going to make a video up on that, raw shrimp. It's very easy to do, but I thought it would be fun if I made a video on that. I could make a video on chicken masala, but we're going to wait for that one. I think I'm going to just explain it. I met up with a fella at the supermarket today while I was buying my ingredients that I'm going to show you how to store in a few minutes. He was talking about flank steak, what we could do with flank steak. Maybe one of my new subscribers. I hope so. Don't forget to thumbs up and leave a comment of what you want me to make. If you have any questions, if you're a student, you want to learn something that you don't know, you can't find it on the internet, I might know, so ask me. I love researching, and I've heard some wild stuff out there, like the steak tartare and where it originated from. I thought that was a real good one with the horse. But yeah, so leave a message, let me know, and I'll be glad to do what I can to answer you, to make what you might be interested in. Otherwise, I'm going to show you a little at a time. It's the same way I learned in college, was a little bit at a time, and we started off small, cutting onions for mirepoix, learning what mirepoix is, then eventually making it to our reduction sauce, right? That glace, a beautiful glace. It's not deglaze, it's a glace. No, it got me confused for a little while. I had to work it out in my head. It's a sauce. So again, we talked about it with the au jus a little while ago, and 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 I think I talked about it when we were talking about gravy a little while ago. Same time we were talking about au jus. Anyways, let's move on. So you know how to make clarified butter now. You Many chefs work with a couple different kinds of butter. You got the clarified butter and you got brown butter. All right, and brown butter is something that really gives tastes to a lot of things. It's like a cooked butter, right? And then it's recooled, re-emulsified, and you can do that with the double boiler method. I guess it's with you take a bowl and you put ice in the bowl, and then you put your cooked butter that you have on the stove. You put it in another bowl that's on top of the ice, right? And then you whisk that, and you keep whisking it until it emulsifies, and that's pretty much your brown butter. And you can use that when you're cooking. So if you're cooking your steak, a lot of chefs will have a container of brown butter next to them. And if you're making your salmon, you want to baste your salmon with brown butter. You want to baste your steak with brown butter, with the thyme and the rosemary all mixed up in there. It's so delicious. And that's what brown butter's for. I mean, the clarified butter is for cooking, when you want to make your sauce, and then but you want to baste something, you're going to baste it with brown butter. All right. So I mean, you can take regular butter, keep it in a bowl, keep it in a small bowl with ice underneath it next to you while you're cooking, right? And then take that butter and stick it in the pan with your seared salmon. All right, and the butter will cook and it'll turn itself brown. It'll become brown butter, and you just keep basting the salmon. All right. But I mean, if you want to make a batch brown butter, I mean, that's pretty much how you do it, with the ice in the big bowl and the whisk, right? And then you can put that aside, all right? So it re-emulsifies, and it's in its chunky form. So so there's your clarified butter. There's your brown butter. Let's move on. I want to tell you about the supermarket trip I did today. So I bought MacArthur Street, Loblaws, $10 for 75 freezer Ziplocs. Yeah, 75 freezer Ziplocs. Awesome, eh? For $10. And look at this. They fit really well. I freeze a lot of my food. All right. So I'll buy a $10 worth of each meat. Cost me about 50 or 60 bucks. The hamburger, 10 bucks of steak, 10 bucks of pork loin, 10 bucks of chicken, and I'll make like 25 bags of meat. So it's 25 dinners, right? And I'm all by myself, right? So I have nobody right now to have dinner with. So I mean, it's just by myself, and so that's just one bag per dinner. If I had somebody to have dinner with, then I would be making 2 bags. But I'm only making 1 bag. So moving on, you take your bags. You think of how much meat you have. All right. I have 1 chicken leg here. So 1 chicken leg, it's just going to be 1 bag, I think. I think I'm going to, no, I'll use 2 bags. I got 75 bags here. All right. So you want to get your bags ready because your hands are going to be dirty. Filthy full of chicken meat, salmonella or something like that. It's not good for you. You can die from it. Make sure you sanitize and wash your hands when you're done. And this is going directly into the freezer. So I bought chicken today. 3 of these for $10. This is heavy. This is really heavy. This is a huge piece. And it's the only reason I spent $10 on it. Usually I buy the chicken thighs, but for $10, can't go wrong. That goes into the garbage. So I'm going to be cutting up pork tenderloin also. You see these? These were $3 each. Pork tenderloins. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces in this one and 6 pieces in the other one. So that's like 6 and 6 is 12. 4, 8, 12. That's 3 dinners, 3 to 4 dinners, 3 to 4 packs, right? And I bought hamburger and I bought steak. We're going to cut up some steak. And I also bought a veal. Anyways, so to cut this up, all right, I have 2 knives. I'm going to not use my Ginsu knife to cut into the bone because I don't want to chip it. It's happened before, and if shards go into your chicken meat, that will not be a good thing if you have to serve it to somebody or yourself. And you got to go sharpen your knife again over at the knife place, Knifeware. They do a free sharpen for a brand new knife, but after that it's like $20, $15, so you don't want to have to do that too often. So what you're going to do is you're going to feel, all right, where that bone socket is right here. So it's right here. That's where it is. So I'm going to take my sharp knife and I'm just going to cut into the meat only, right across here. Okay, from here to here. I'm going to cut into the meat right up to about the bone with my sharp knife, okay? And then I'm going to take my big knife and I'm going to press it through, all right? And that's how it's going to break it, all right? So let's do that. Again, look at it. You're going to feel it. I can feel it's right here. That's where the bone meets right here, okay? So put it down. Flip that this way. I'm feeling it with the tip of my fingers. These fingers here, I'm feeling it. I feel that. And I'm going to take my sharp knife and just cut the meat. Just cut the meat like that. Nice and easy. Excellent. Now I'm going to take my big romaine lettuce knife. The toughest knife I have. This thing will not break for anything. And I'm going to stick it into my cut. I'm going to press down. Just like that. All right. So it's like this. And you press down like that into the incision that you made with your sharp knife. And you're going to get this. Too much light there. You see that? It's very nicely cut. You see, it's very pretty. All right. And that's what it looks like. If you want to debone that, you're going to cut along the skin here, and then you're going to cut around the bone. And I can show you that in another video. So I'm making a supreme for a dinner or something like that. Or if I wanted to do a duxelle for the chicken ballantine, for instance. Chicken duxelle is very nice. It's mushrooms and breadcrumbs. Anyways. So we're going to now we got 2 pieces. You saw that first piece. Here's the second piece. Very pretty, eh? Only we got some chunks of fat hanging off here. That's the butt. I'm going to keep the butt, but this fat here, we don't need it, so we're going to cut that off. We can cut it with our sharp knife or my other knife. They're both sharp. Only one stronger than the other, so there we have it. Nice piece of meat. So I'm going to take my opened bag that's already opened, because I opened it before I cut the meat. I'm going to stick that in here. I was going to put it all in one bag. And you kind of want to arrange the meat in the bag so that it fills as much of the bottom of the bag as possible, because you want to take the air out. All right, so when you close it, Ziploc, you might want to clean your hands before you do this. That doesn't matter to me. Some people it does. Remember, chicken can make you very sick. All right, so keep it away from your mouth. So I'm going to put it on the table and I'm going to finish Ziplocking it, okay? I'm going to put my hand over the bag and take all the air out and then Ziploc it closed. All right, and now there's no air in the bag. Okay, you can also fold it like this and then Ziploc it. Put your hand over it and Ziploc it. That's another way to take the air out. But I like putting it on the table. And that works really well. So as I said, I'm going to put it into 2. Normally, I wouldn't be buying this, but it was a pretty good deal. There. That's probably my smallest portion of meat. So here I can fold this up like that, take all the air out of it, and then finish it blocking it like that. And there's no air in there. Not exactly a sous vide. If you don't know what that is, you can look it up or I'll tell you about it later. But it works pretty good. Sealing it. All right, so I'm going to throw that in the freezer. There you go. Now I like to put a piece of paper on the bottom of the freezer drawer. All right, when I'm putting stuff that needs to be frozen into the freezer. I don't know. I have this strange feeling that it's going to stick to the drawer or something, or maybe not freeze properly. I don't know what that's about, but I like to put a piece of paper down there. All right, so we did that. Now this little leftover piece can go in my bowl that's going to add to the compost in a little while, which is here. It's always good to have a junk bowl. All right, this has fat in it that I'm going to throw away in the compost. Okay, so the next one. Now I got chicken meat here, so I got to clean this real fast. It'll only take a second. All right, so I'm going to talk to you at the same time. It's just going to take a second, and then we're going to chop up some meat, some more meat. Okay, just going to do this real fast. A little bit of soap. We'll clean that. That's one. And now this one. Okay. A little bit of soap. Wash that off. Okay. And that's number 2. And now our cutting board, right? And a cutting board, it's good to have a little indentation around here, all right? Because when blood comes out of your meat, it'll go in here before it falls off. It's like a little indentation that goes all the way around your cutting board. You can get these at the dollar store, even though they're like $4. They started selling things at the dollar store for like $4 or $5 now. Not really a dollar store anymore, but it's okay. So I'm going to put that in the water, scrub it a little bit with some soap. Okay. A lot of times you got the spray bottle. At the restaurant, you'll have a spray bottle. And you'll sanitize with that pink stuff. Okay. So you know about the spray bottle at the restaurant that you spray to sanitize your cutting board? For those restaurants that clean their cutting boards that way. I've seen restaurants that clean their cutting boards with spray instead of throwing them into the dish pit. If that's the way you do it, then all the power to you. I won't mention any names, but most all the restaurants I've ever worked at, aside from a few, will take their cutting boards out at the end of the night, bring them to the dish pit, and wash them in the dish pit properly. I could tell you some stories about some restaurants, but, it is what it is sometimes. So I got to cut these and get them into the freezer because food can only be left out for so long. let's do hamburger next. Hamburger, the one thing that is not on sale too often, medium ground beef. So you have um, you wouldn't have an 80, I mean, maybe a 70-30 for a tartare because there's too much fat in there. That's where all the buggies come from. But 80-20, again, there's a lot of fat in there. Yeah, so you wouldn't use that so much for a tartare. You would use as much of the beef as possible, very little fat. All right. A medium ground beef has got a decent amount of fat in it, so you can make burgers and stuff pretty easily, and it'll sizzle, and you see all the fat and the juices. Is all one wonderful thing. So, anyways, let's cut this open. Now this is $8, which is typical for medium ground beef. Sometimes you can get it cheaper. A lot of times, if you want to buy it cheaper, you got to buy a big batch of it. A couple of pounds worth. But I didn't want to spend. I don't like spending $20 on $25 on hamburger, even if it is able to be put into pieces. The only time I make hamburger at home is for my spaghettis. And I don't often make spaghetti. I often go with macaroni. All right, because it's easier to swallow when you make macaroni. It's easier to swallow. You can choke on spaghetti when you get older. Some people will understand what I'm talking about. So, so I go with macaroni, and I don't make a lot of hamburger. All right, I make it once a week. So I mean, something like this, it's $8. I'm going to make 1, 2, 3 bags. So let's pull out 3 bags. 1, 2, 3 bags. So we're prepping mise en place, I guess. We're going to open the bags, right? Because our hands are going to be all dirty from picking up the meat. All right, that's 2 and 3. Now you can have rubber latex gloves if you want to for playing with the meat, and then if you want to. So let's we're going to separate this into chunks. So it's all laid out this way. I guess I'm going to take it that way. Let's take it out, separate it like this. There, we got a chunk. Now, if I'm making my meatballs, I'd be using an ice cream scoop. It's not really called an ice cream scoop, actually. It's a portioner for meatballs. And anyways, in this case, I want as little air possible, all right, because I'm throwing this in the freezer. You just lightly press it together, not too much, and stick it into your bag like that, into the corner. Close it, give it a little press, all right, and take the air out at the same time, and close the Ziploc bag. So it's going to look like this little hamburger patty, right? I pressed it down a little bit, and I sucked out the air. I'm going to close it. Now, I'm at home, okay, but if you were anywhere else, you would date this and write what it was, and you'd even put your name on it, especially if you're in a restaurant. That's the way you do it. But I'm at home. I know this is going to get eaten in the next 2 weeks. All right. So I'm not going to write anything on it. Okay. So that's one meal right there. That's one meal. I mean, it's $8. Yes. It's one meal. Okay. There's another meal. Maybe a little bit more. Now, if I ever have a woman over one day, someday, I hope, I will make 2 of these at the same time, unless she's a vegetarian. I'm not going to stop eating meat. I mean, a vegetarian. You want to not eat meat, that's your decision. I'll probably stop eating meat when I get older, but I'm still young yet. So until something actually stops me from eating meat, that's 2. All right, so in the last one, looks like we're making 3. This last one is going to be a bigger one. I could make 4 out of this, but I'm not. This one's a bigger one. Just going to do it together like this. Now, if you're making a smash burger, your weight would be about 3.2 ounces. This is like a 10-pound, 10-ounce piece of meat here. I could split it into 2 5s, but, when I have extra, I usually just make a little patty on the side, and I eat that after it's cooked with a little bit of salt on it, and it's just so awesome. You just stick it in the fridge for your husband who gets up in the middle of the night and needs to eat something, okay? Put it on a plate for him, sprinkle a little bit of salt on it, okay, and just leave it there. It'll be gone by morning, I guarantee it. Little hamburger patty. It's awesome. Guys love it. All right? Because I love it. And I hope that my little lady would do the same thing for me. It would be nice to meet somebody, I tell you. So I'm going to put this in the freezer. 1, 2, 3. Boom, just like that. Now I like to put a piece of paper on top of that. All right, so I'm just going to take a piece of lined paper and I'm going to put it in the freezer to separate the 2 different meats. Okay? Not because of the possibility of salmonella, because of the possibility that they won't freeze properly or something. I don't know. I have this strange, weird thing in my head that says there's a problem if I don't freeze it properly. Everything's got to freeze evenly too, because that's important. So the next thing we're going to cut up, I didn't really cut anything there, but this is pork tenderloin. So I bought 2 pork tenderloins for $4 and $3. And that's going to make, for that price, for what, $9, $4, $5, $6, $7. For $7, I'm going to make, 4 or 5 meals out of this. So let's see how many meals I make out of it. All right, so I'm going to use a different knife. Okay, so I'm going to put this one and this one back. I just cleaned them. Now, this kind of meat, I like to use a serrate. All right. This kind of knife. Kind of like a bread cutter knife, right? See that? I got this knife, and you can buy a lot of really cool stuff at the thrift store. Salvation Army thrift store on Montreal Road here in Ottawa has got a wonderful selection of used kitchen tools. And you can get anything there, like the coolest of stuff. People just end up throwing away, or somebody passes away and the kids have no place for all this stuff, so they just give it to the Shepherds of Good Hope or the Salvation Army or something like that. It goes in the thrift store, and then you end up running into it and buying it and making your kitchen even better with it. So I got my spice rack. I found some spices containers that will fit my spice rack at the grocery store today, only I didn't have a budget to buy them. But they are finally putting them in smaller containers, which makes me so happy. If I had the $7 each to do it, but yeah, I already did you want to see my spice rack? It's nothing big. There's no coriander. There should be, and it's all dry, right? So in my spice rack here. As you can see, I did it myself. That's green painter's tape. It works, I mean, it works. Yeah. So anyways, you like my bag of chips? They were my favorite chips at one point. I love those chips. I think I got them at the dollar store or something like that. They were awesome chips. Anyways, so let's cut this meat up. I think I might make another video today. I'm going to fry up some, I don't know, did I say this already? I'm going to fry up some shrimp and talk about chicken masala. And in the next few days, I'm going to make that flank steak or come up with some kind of really cool recipe for flank steak. So back to this, I use this kind of knife because it saws through the pork just beautifully. And it might saw through the other meat too. So we need the Ziploc bags first. Right, mise en place. Get them ready. 1, 2. You're right, I could have washed my hands. Again, I'm at home. I washed my hands after the chicken, so that's good enough for now. When it comes to red meat, I don't know. Sometimes if I was working at the restaurant, I'd be washing my hands every few minutes, regardless. All right, that's what a chef does. He washes his hands more than any surgeon you'd ever imagine. It's just the way it is. You clean your hands. So let's open this up. This beautiful, fresh pork tenderloin. Look at this. Isn't it lovely? And it's heavy. There's a lot of meat there. Bang. Take the second one. Open that up. That serrate doesn't really cut very well into plastic, but it does work wonders for meat. 2. Oh, and this is awesome meat. I mean, it beats pork chops any day of the week. Okay, now there's a little bit of silver skin on here. That's silver skin, all right, and it's not really edible, all right, so you can cut that off, all right. Usually the butcher's supposed to do that, or when you, if you're working at a nice restaurant and you are the chef, then you can be the one to cut that stuff off and then weigh up your tear, and you should know about that, how to weigh tear, and that's really important. I mean, let me talk to you about that for a second, all right? Because weighing up tear is an important thing. I got my little green book here. So where do we have it? Pesto, shallots, pita, portion, weighing up tear, formulas, main calculations, trim. Okay, and your main calculations. So if your price per kilo is $11.99, all right, that's as purchased price. Okay. Now you have a trout that's 400 grams. All right. Now you're going to cut the silver skin off. You're going to, oh, there's no silver skin on trout. You're going to cut all the bad pieces off. Imagine the trout. Imagine it's pork, whatever. Just switch pork for trout. If you're going to take the head off of the trout, you're going to take the fins off of the trout, all the stuff that you're not going to eat of the trout. All right. You're going to separate. So the trout originally weighs 400 grams. After you take the head off and all the stuff that you're not going to eat, maybe you're going to use it for stock, but you're not going to eat it. All right. It's called trim. All right. That trim, you take off the head and all the fins and stuff like that, adds up to 190 grams. All right. So you take 400 grams, which is the weight of the trout, minus 190 grams, which is the trim, equals 210 grams. All right. You take 210 grams and you divide it by 400, which is the trout, and you get 0.525, which is 53% yield. Okay? So now you take the price per kilo, $11.99, you divide it by 0.525, and you get $22.83, which is the edible portion price. The edible cost is always greater than the AP cost. Got it? Okay, good. Now, I wrote that in a little book because I got a million things to remember, and it's always good to have a little book stuck in your back pocket. Now, millennials go right to their phone, right? And they press it in their phone, but I'm not a millennial. I'm older than that, right? So I have a little book, But millennials will keep their phone with them, stick it in their pocket here. And if they ever have a question, hey, Google, hey, Bixby, hey, Galactica, what's the new one called? What's the new one called? It just came out recently. Hold on, let me find it. The new one is called Gemini. No, I don't need you. Okay. Didn't answer me, thank goodness. What if I said Bixby? She would have said something. Anyways, so let's get to cutting this. I'm going to saw it with this thing and make some pieces. And it cuts so well, like so evenly perfect with this serrated thing. All right, when you're cutting meat, it's just beautiful, when you're cutting this pork meat. So I'm going to cut in pieces. There's another piece, just little pieces like this, right? Kind of like you see when you're looking at stewing beef. The stewing beef is a nice idea. If you want steak, and steak is very expensive, you can usually buy stewing beef. I couldn't today, but you can usually buy stewing beef that is relatively inexpensive, that you can stick in your Ziploc freezer bags, and it's as good as steak. And your husband will love it. Just keep it in small pieces. That's all. Keep it in little small pieces. And you won't even notice that it's not a top sirloin, beautiful stuff steak. There we go. I don't know why I like using this knife. It just cuts really well. Has a hard time through the silver skin, but it cuts really well. And all you want is your pieces. Look at that. Nice piece. I'm still working on the first one. Still lots of pieces coming out of here. I'll tell you how many I make out of these two pieces right here. Yeah, silver skin's not good stuff. It's not edible. People eat it, but it's not edible. I wouldn't bother with too much. Okay, that's another piece. And that's another piece. There. I'll throw that with something. Anyways, that's one. Now it's almost like a fish, eh? Almost looks like a fish. We're gonna make two. Oh, it cuts so wonderfully. And it's not just that it cuts wonderfully, it's that when you go to saute this, when you go to fry it in the frying pan, all right, it is so delicious. It's soft, it's tender. It just takes a couple minutes in that frying pan, and it's wonderful. You can't go wrong. You don't have to worry too long about it taking 25, 35 minutes. Your husband gets home, your wife gets home, she's hungry, she's worked all day, and he or she wants something to eat like in the next 10 minutes. I'm going to take a shower, honey, they say, and I want you to make something to eat because you've been sitting at home playing Fortnite all day. Do something for me, and maybe I'll give you a kiss after you brush your teeth. And so she goes up to take a shower, and you run into the kitchen thinking you're going to get some booty there real soon, as long as you can fill up her tummy with something. All right. Throw this on. the stove, and it is done in 5 minutes. Like, it's fast. Get a little bit of minute rice. Get a can of peas and carrots. Stick it all together. Cook the meat first. All right, like 3 minutes worth. All right, saute it a little bit, and it's done in 3 or 4 minutes. It's really that fast. Throw some kosher salt on top of it. All right, buy kosher salt. That's good stuff. That'll make your mouth water for meat. All right, you don't have to do anything special. You don't need the rosemary, the thyme, and unless you want something special with the candlelit dinner, then you're taking some time to make dinner for husband or wife, and it was ready like 20 minutes before they got home. But you got 5 minutes here, okay? So, you're sauteing that stuff up. In 3 to 5 minutes, you're throwing in a can of peas and a can of carrots. All right, juice and all. Throw the preservatives in there too. No big deal. Salt and pepper. And throw in enough water that you can throw in a cup or two of minute rice. All right, bang, you're done. And like 3 minutes later after that. So while that's reducing, while the water is absorbing into the minute rice, all right, you have the table set. She's still patting herself dry upstairs, right? By the time she walks downstairs and you even have time to add a couple candles on the table, you're going to get some. Guaranteed. Kosher salt's a wonderful thing. It comes in a big box, it stands up like this. It's a square box like that. It says kosher salt on it. I do recommend it when making any kind of meat. All right, so now I got this handful of meat here. We're done cutting it up. Let's see how many meals we get out of it. All right, so that's 1, 2. You want to fill up the bottom of the bag because you're going to want to turn it a little bit. Maybe 4 pieces. 4 pieces. See the bottom of the bag? Don't let any air space become available here. So, there's a little bit here and a little bit here, but I guess that's fine. There. It's roughly like that. You see that? Hardly any air at the bottom. Now we're going to fold it like we're rolling a doobie. All right. And we're going to Ziploc like that, almost to the end. Not all the way. And then we're going to fold a little bit more. And now we're going to do the rest of the way. Now, there's no air in there at all. You can keep it folded. And we're good. That's 1 piece. That's 1 dinner. That'll fill up a man right there on any snacking moment. Maybe even some women. Depends. Some women like a lot of meat in their diet. Some women don't. We will be talking about salads sometime soon. Okay, there's number 2. Just spread it out a bit so we get it from end to end. We roll it like a doobie, a cigarette. All right, and then we Ziploc almost to the end, and then you roll it up a little bit more, and that gets rid of all the air in there, and that's just perfect for 2. There's some weight there, I'm not weighing it, but that's enough. You can almost have 2 people dining on that. I eat a lot. Like, my belly needs a lot of food. I don't know. It's because I'm like 6 feet tall. I don't know if that's, I don't know. I do a lot in a day. I guess I waste a lot of energy. I use up a lot of energy, so I got to eat a lot. Always doing something. I never know. One day I might be doing my own restaurant. And now we're going to spin that one up. Boy, I'm getting hungry for those shrimp. I'm going to have those shrimp there soon. I'm going to make that in the next video almost directly after this one. So there we go. That's 3. How much did I spend on this? $7. Sure you get it all at the bottom. Now you can make some smaller ones too. Smaller ones are okay because you're not always going to eat a whole bunch of food, right? Make a few small ones. And when you go into your freezer, you're going to say, well, I don't need a big one tonight because I'm not that hungry, but I feel like a little meat. There you go. My goodness, I got 1.5 here maybe. Let's see. Oh, that is a lot. Let's take that one out. So I'm going to make 2 small ones. And I got 75 Ziplocs for $10 today. It's not going to hurt if I make a couple small ones here. Let me feel like I got my money's worth today. I got to move it around a little bit so that the whole bottom is covered there. And that's just a small one. See that? That's a small one. Roll that up. I mean, this is very important. All right. Money is difficult. Food is cheap sometimes. Food can be cheap. Food's even cheaper when you don't have to buy it too often. And then you're just buying milk, bread, and eggs, you know? And that's the hardest part. Every week you buy milk, bread, and eggs. All right, shouldn't reach into the box with dirty hands, but I did. 2, 3, 4. 4 nice pieces right there. 2 big pieces, 2 small pieces. Push that down a little bit. All right. We'll twist that up, just like we're rolling something. And close. So we got 1, 2 small ones, and 4 big ones. 6 dinners into the freezer. I mean, this is like a month's worth of food. What did I spend on it? $60, $50, about $53. I look at the receipt. About $53. So next. Let's do steak next. All right, so 2 steaks this time. This was $3.50. This was $3.25. I mean, they're beautiful. Look at that. See the price on that? $6.45 at 50% off. Wow. It's even got a little bit of really good stuff here. Filet mignon. Ooh, filet mignon. Filet mignon is the most wonderful part of a steak. The name of the steak is not in my head, but it is the most wonderful part of the steak. And you don't want to overcook it. So when you're on a grill, all right, you want to cook your steak on the thick part, on the hot part of the grill, and the filet mignon of the steak on the less hot part of the grill. So you want to place the steak that way on your grill. So you got a grill and you got a griddle. A griddle is the flat top. A grill is got the grill on it. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's the difference. And on a grill or griddle, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have hot, medium, cool. Same thing on the griddle. All right, from left to right, it's going to be hot, medium hot, low. And that's the way the temperature goes, all right, when you go to turn the temperature up on your grill. So let's chop this up. I should wash my hands, but again, I'm at home. Don't care. If you're at work, make sure you give a damn, because when you're at work, you have to wash your hands with every new thing that you do. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is practically filet mignon right here. Oh, I love steak. I just love it. All right. So, unfortunately, it's got a little dark spot, so we're going to have to cut that off. But you know what? For what they gave me, it's totally cool. So, let's see. I'm going to cut it with my sharp knife. Just got to take that piece of meat off. Always cut off the bad stuff of your food. There. It's too bad. It's a little piece, but look how dark that is. It's too dark. I don't know. You can't really tell because we're doing a video. A really bad camera too, but I want to buy a computer. I will get a better camera eventually. That's going to go in with the meats. Okay, so let's cut this up and portion it. Wow, that other steak is beautiful. So 1, 2, mise en place, 3, 4, 5, 6. Open it up. It's very nice to have pieces of steak meat in your freezer because every person who is not a vegetarian, every person needs red meat to be happy with. I like a little Liam Perrins with my red meat, some shallots, some rosemary, some thyme. Okay, so let's do this. Cut that here. Oh, it just sliced through so nicely. All right. Like that. Geez, I almost want to cook that up. It kind of needs to be eaten today. I think I'm going to do that. Okay, and let's cut some pieces here. Yeah, this is a good example of filet mignon. Okay, so this is the steak. You see this really nice piece of meat here? This is actually a very nice piece. It almost separates from the steak. See that? There's your filet mignon. That is the best part of the steak right here. All right. Now, all these little veins of fat here. All right. That shows you, that gives you the taste. It's such wonderful taste when it cooks. So when you see a lot of fat veins like this, all right, it's very, very tasty. So it melts. That's what gives a steak a very nice taste. All right. Aside from this specific filet mignon, it is still the most tenderest part, this little piece right here. I'd love to eat it tonight, but I'm not going to. Well, I might. I don't know. I'm having shrimp. Maybe I will have a little bit of steak. I have to cut some of this up, though. If I have that, I can have that for dinner. Okay. I'm going to have some steak for dinner. Now I'm going to cut this into pieces like so. Right. And we're going to try and make some meals out of this. Like just this piece here. I fry that piece up. There. See that? See all that those beautiful fat lines? Oh, that's got potential. Oh yeah. I'll just leave that like that. Now this is where I'm really going to get the chunks of dinner. I'm going to cut that. It's really thick. Cut that off. I'm not going to eat that part. Cut that off. I don't like to waste any of this. That. Filet mignon. Okay. We only have the veal to cut last. That'll be easier to cut into slices because it's more of a sliceable cut. This steak is not easy to cut because I want to eat it more than I want to save it. Yeah, that's one reason, I guess. There we go. It's got a lot of thickness to it. I'm going to show you here. So I sliced them like this into slices, and that's the way we're going to freeze them. So maybe 2 or 3 per bag. Now, if you asked yourself, how much steak should you have every couple of days, you'd realize that you don't need a lot. The steak is very tasty, and it's really easy to eat a lot of it. But you don't need a lot. You just need enough to give you your requirements. There we go. Steak, I'm going to keep that flat. I'm going to roll it. So I'm going to roll it like this. See? Okay, and then I'm going to seal it. Put my hand on it to help get the air out of it. Bang. There's one. There's one steak. There we go. 4 pieces of sliced off of a steak. There's one. This will be 2. Line it up right at the bottom of the Ziploc. Line it up the best you can. Okay. This one's got 4 pieces. See that? 2 from one steak and 2 from the others. And there's some weight there. I mean, there's enough there to be content with. You're going to fry that up just like a minute steak, but it won't be a minute steak. It'll be what kind of steak is this? This is a sirloin tip. Sirloin tip steak. All right. Zip it up. And that's all you need. A person needs red meat, red steak. Doesn't really matter what kind. We asked my aunt that, and she's going to say, well, the taste really makes a difference. But this is where the taste comes from. Those fat vessels in there. You see all that fat there? I mean, that's not collagen, that's fat. And that, when fried up, gives a steak taste. So does kosher salt. Throw in your kosher salt, but not too much. I saw this guy putting kosher salt on the YouTube there yesterday. I'm thinking to myself, my God. He says, put enough on there so it looks like a nice little snowfall. Okay, chef. Now, I'm not saying he's wrong, but he was certainly patting it dry One of the things he said is you got to pat your meat dry. All right, and I agree with that. You don't want any kind of water. Water is something you don't want. All right, but I think he was patting it because he knew he put too much kosher salt on it. All chefs do their best, you know. So you take what you can learn and you just go with it. All right? You do your best. That's all that matters. Everybody does their best. I'm going to fold that up. I don't want him getting angry at me because he's a very good chef. But even the best chef I've ever known, I've seen screw up really bad. It's funny. You try not to laugh, eh? Because when you see an executive chef screw up, that is the priceless thing in your fucking day. And in your day, I'm sorry, I just swore. Oh my goodness. Let's try not to swear. All right, these are videos. I'm not supposed to have any swearing on it. Although you can roll it up like a doobie, you cannot say the F word. That's what the world today, you know. Roll it up like a doobie. When they legalized that, I was quitting it. I'll tell you, I quit for a couple years now, 3-4 years now. And I think it's the best thing I ever could have done. Let's put this piece in. And I don't know, I'm going to put this piece in too. We're going to make a little bigger chunk of steak. This one's a double. This one's a double bag of steak. There it is, a double bag of steak. Because I'm keeping some for dinner tonight. I'm going to make steak with shrimp. Steak and shrimp. Did I show you the shrimp that I got? All right, now shrimp you can buy, and it can be 50% off. Don't be afraid of it, okay? It lasts frozen for a long time. There's nothing wrong with it, all right? You can keep shrimp for ages, and odds are, I mean, if it smells bad, then it's probably bad. But most of the time, shrimp you can keep a very long time. It's 50% off. It's all good. See, got this. This is $4 at 50% off. Cost me $2. I bought 2 of them for $4. They come on skewers, and I'm going to show you in another video after I do this video how to fry them up in the frying pan, and it should be relatively easy. So, steak, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 steaks into the freezer with a piece of paper separating the two. Now we have one more red meat to make, and just throw that in the fridge for a few minutes. I was going to cook that for dinner. This is also on sale. I love sausages. I'll make this one day also. I have a grinding machine. You just put different kinds of meat in the grinder, and it comes out in a little tube that looks like a condom. It fills the condom up, and then you turn it. I guess I'm going to put this in the freezer somewhere. Freezer's pretty full. Okay. This is leftover steak, so it's going to go in the garbage bowl, which goes to the compost. Ba-bing. And we have our veal, the last one to make up. This also is 50% off. Veal is a nice chunk, and as you can see here, it's very sliceable, right? So we're going to slice that up, and make sure you wash your hands. That smells good. It's got strings on it for when you roast it. Now I won't be roasting it. I'm going to be frying it. There's still a little silver skin on it, which is not a big deal. Now I'm going to take the string, the butcher string, off. All right, butcher string. I'll show you how to butcher string a piece of meat one of these days. Maybe we'll make something interesting. But for now, we don't need this butcher string because we are not throwing it in like this. We're going to cut it up into pieces. And this goes in the garbage. Okay. This, I'm thinking I should use my other knife to cut. I don't know where I put my other knife. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to use my serrade again, the one that I used the pork for. I'm going to have to wash that after. I'm going to do that when I'm done. Okay, I should wash the knife, but I don't care that much because I'm at home. I have yet to get sick. Like I'm just asking for it, you know. Okay. So we're going to make slices. Let's see here. Does it slice pretty well? I forgot to mise en place my bags. Very nice meat. One slice. Now I'm going to slice them as thin as I can. Little pieces at the same time. The fact is that some meats, you know, kind of need to be sliced thin. Because cooking time can be a little bit of a problem. All depends if you're going to throw it into the oven also. You're going to cook it 3/4 of the way and then throw it in the oven. That's a lot of chefs will do that. Again, it's French cooking will do that. But I'm at home. And this will be pan fried like minute steak, minute veal. And that's what we're doing. There's minute veals. They are beautiful little meat steaks here. Look at that. Each one is going to be a dinner. Just like that. And so again, this didn't cost very much. And when you're making this for your husband or your wife, you're just using one steak and you're making potatoes and vegetables like carrots and broccoli. Mashed potatoes is very nice with carrots and broccoli. With a protein, you're going to want a starch of some kind. That's your potatoes. You're going to want the vegetables of some kinds. A couple of vegetables. There we go. With your protein. Now, for the price of this, I'm already at several steaks. Now, a lot of people will just throw this in as a roast, but why? I mean, when you can have it in several meals, you get to love this veal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times so far. Now, in the last piece, I'm going to make little cutlets. I mean, not little cutlets. I'm going to make little pieces out of it because I don't think I can cut another. This looks like the best piece of it. Just going to make little squares out of it. All right. Boy, this looks good. It smells as good as a steak. Look at the little square pieces. Nice, eh? And it smells so good. I mean, it's 50% off, right? So you're thinking it's been sitting there for a while, but no. 50% off because nobody bought it yesterday. And they're overstocked in the back. That's pretty much why it's 50% off, because they got to sell it. They can't, if nobody comes to sell it, they just put it cheaper. People will come. People will buy it. Just make little pieces here. Little pieces don't take long to cook. A big piece, it can take a long time to cook. Okay, there we go. There we have it. Oh, hey, boo-boo. Okay, look at that prettiness in that piece of meat. Fast fry. You got your meat. You got your veal. It's 6 times over here. When you go to pick out a steak and you end up with veal by mistake, who cares? You're still getting your protein. You have a steak tomorrow. Okay. That's one. It'll be one of those folding techniques, so it looks like this, like that. There's no air in it. Just fold it over, stick it on the side. Got 75 Ziplocs for $10 today. All right, here's 2. A little piece. A couple little pieces. It's a nice piece. All right, that's 2. Block. Fold over, take the air out. Squeeze. No air in there. Perfect. Is anybody counting how many meals I'm at right now? I mean, for $100, okay, at the grocery store, you're good all month to eat. All month. Rice, vegetables, frozen vegetables. Buy the big bag of frozen best vegetables. I mean, you're talking $40 more before you even get to 100. If I spent $60 in meat today, and that includes the big sausage, the hot sausages there. I mean, this is the shiznit. This is what your spouse wants. They want you to be good at budgeting. They want to have a nice meal on the table when they get home from working a hard day. And so long as you make them happy, nobody will say nothing about your fortnight. All right. So that's about it for today. I'm going to finish wrapping those up, but I hope you got something out of it. It's very important. You heard about the clarified butter. You watched me bag. All right. These are beautiful. You see that? Tons of meals here. And it's so easy to spend $15 on a steak and eat it in one sitting. But it's just as easy to buy a $15 chunk of meat and make 5 meals out of it. I guess that's the point. Okay. So by doing this, I mean, you have enough money to eat well, still buy milk, eggs, and bread once a week or 1.5 times a week, you know, for the month. And that brings your bill down, especially if you're a student. Okay. Now, you're going to want chips too. Listen, stay safe, be happy, subscribe, enjoy, write something for me, put a thumbs up, whatever. I hope to see you soon, hear from you soon, whatever. I'll see you in the neighborhood here in Vanier. I'm very thankful uh, that you are one of my subscribers, and we're going to make some shrimp and steak in a few minutes. I'm going to make a video on that real fast, probably on Meta, maybe on this too, and then I'm going to make something tomorrow. I think I'm going to go through the procedures for the masala, chicken masala, and what else can we talk about? Electronegativity. What's that? Electronegativity is the density of things. And when your body leans over the table, the density of that table is stronger than the density of your body, which causes you back pains. Why do you get back pains? Electronegativity. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So until then, until tomorrow with the masala and the chicken masala made in Sicily, and until my shrimp, I guess, in a few minutes after I pack this, because I'm really hungry for that pieces of steak there. That looks so good. Little filet mignons. C'est bon, c'est bon. Merci. End stream. Have a good night. Bye-bye.